Hey everybody, Indie Pride here with Milk and Cookies Total War, and I need your help with something. I am not incredibly well versed in computers or in Windows 10. There are certain things I know how to do relatively easily. I'm not an idiot when it comes to computers, but I am having a relatively significant problem, and I am hoping that at least one of my subs, hopefully more than one, is very well versed in computers and could probably help me out with finding a solution. So basically what happens is, or what happened was, I did have Windows 7, and I kept delaying the Windows 10 upgrade. I kept saying, yo, I'll reschedule for next week, and I kept doing that, pushing it back and back and back. And so last week, I pushed it back to, again, the next following Tuesday, and everything was fine, and then a couple hours later, my computer out of nowhere restarted and began the Windows 10 update. I didn't feel like pulling the plug on my computer and preventing the update. Didn't want to screw with things that way, so I just let it happen, and Microsoft basically forced me to get Windows 10, which I really didn't want because everything was working fine on Windows 7. I didn't feel a need to upgrade. The problem is now I have an issue where every time I boot up a game in full screen, the colors look super washed out and the resolution is wrong. When I go to windowed mode or borderless window mode on any of those games, it runs fine. But when I'm in borderless window, I have an issue where I get pretty massive delay on some of my commands. For example, in Total War games, when I'm moving my camera around, it'll suddenly kind of like freeze up, and if I was pressing D to like pan the camera to the right, then all of a sudden it'll like zoom the camera all the way to the side of the map, and I won't have control over what I'm doing. So my games don't really seem to be running well in borderless window or windowed mode. In DAO 2, Dawn of War 2, for example, I had like half-second delay on my commands when I was moving troops around. I'm having issues with that. But the biggest issue is that when I'm in full screen, I get super washed out colors, and I want to be able to go back into full screen and fix that. So I'll tell you what I've done so far. I'll tell you about my setup a little bit, and then hopefully someone has an idea of what's causing this. So I have a 980 Ti, it's an NVIDIA video card, and I have an HDMI cord hooked up to my PC. Like I said, I've had this whole setup for 3.5, 4, or 5 years. I didn't have the 980 Ti, obviously, but everything else was perfectly fine. When I got the video card, the 980 Ti, like 3 or 4 months ago, no issues whatsoever. All of these issues have arose since I've gotten Windows 10. So, for example, you won't be able to see it, but when I boot up Total War Warhammer, if I'm in full screen mode, color looks super washed out, and about an inch from each side of the screen gets cut off. And that's obviously not very good for gaming. I have a really nice computer. I want to be able to see the colors in their full glory. The weird thing about it is when I try to screen capture it, I use Shadowplay or any of those other pieces of software. When I look at the recording, it doesn't show the really washed out grainy footage. It doesn't show the resolution problems. It's only when I'm looking at it myself. The recording doesn't show any of those issues. So I really don't know what the problem is. For example, there's one thing that I looked up on Google, and it said that it could be an NVIDIA control panel. If you... Come on now. If you... This is taking forever. Go down to here, you go to output dynamic range and change that from limited to full. That can fix the issue. There have been people that have said they had the exact same issue and that fixed it for them. It was already on full. That didn't help me. I am on my native resolution. You can see I'm on PC 1920 by 1080. I have a HD TV. It is 1920 by 1080 native resolution. I don't know what the problem is, and I want to be able to run my games in full screen, because when I'm running them in windowed mode, for older games, running window doesn't really work very well. Dawn of War 2 doesn't seem to work very well. Medieval 2, I don't really want to change my options like that, and it like I said, I've been having delay in every single game that I've played in windowed mode except Dota 2. So I don't think it's a good solution, and these problems, again, were not happening when I was playing in full screen. So I'm wondering if anybody has any idea what this problem is. If you could help me, it'd be super appreciated. Someone who has who's really well versed in computers. If you maybe want to just join Skype with me and troubleshoot, or leave your ideas in the comment section. I know I haven't given a lot of information here. I can answer your questions, and maybe hopefully we can troubleshoot this problem. But recording stuff is a real chore right now because, especially with Total War, if my camera's randomly moving all around and I lose control of it, that's a serious issue. And the same thing happened on Battlefront, where I'm moving my character around and I'll be pressing WASD to control their movement, and then all of a sudden I'll kind of lose control of the character, and whatever button I last pressed will continue that command, so I'll continue strafing to the right, even though I've given my computer a command to move to the left or move backwards or whatever. It'll just keep doing that. So it's very similar issue to what is happening with the camera when I'm playing Total War. The weird thing about it is that it's not a permanent issue. It'll happen 5 or 6 times throughout the course of a 10 or 15 minute gameplay session, but it won't be a constant problem. There isn't actual delay for the majority of the time I'm playing. I'm not like pressing W and then a second or 2 seconds later it's pressing W. It only happens occasionally throughout the gameplay experience, but again, still a very big issue, still very annoying, still makes me not want to play the game. So I've also updated my GeForce experience, or my graphics card drivers. I'm up on the most recent drivers right now. You see your GeForce driver is up to date. I know that there are ways to roll back your drivers and continue doing that. I don't remember what driver I was on before I upgraded after I got Windows 10. So rolling that back is going to be difficult. And I can't do a system restore because after upgrading to Windows 10, I don't think it allows you to. There's no restore point to go back to on Windows 7. So I'm annoyed that Windows made me get Windows 10 when I really didn't want it. I had delayed it, and it told me that that was fine. You can keep delaying it. And then all of a sudden it forced this upgrade on me out of nowhere. I wasn't prepared to deal with it. Didn't want to pull the plug. It's really frustrating. So, again, I don't know if any of you guys have had this issue. I've done a lot of Google research on it. There have been plenty of ideas for me. I've tried out a lot of them. Nothing's worked so far. Maybe one of you guys will be willing to help me out and do some screen share on Skype or something, or just leave comments and give me some ideas. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. See ya.